the Valley of Jezreel had a very strategic importance. Why? Because it was right on the ancient trade route. Ancient trade route that was called the Way of the Sea. And we meet this term when we read our Bible, especially in the book of Isaiah. It says, the Galilee of the Gentiles, the land of Zebulun and Naphtali, on the way of the sea. The people that sat in the darkness, they saw the great light. So when the evangelist Matthew comes, he takes this verse and he applies it to the ministry and life of Jesus when he moved from Nazareth and went into Capernaum and dwelt in the Capernaum. But we want to know where was this way of the way of the sea, or in Latin Bible called Via Maris. Okay, this connected two ancient river empires. One river empire in the delta of River Nile, the empire of the Egyptian pharaohs, one of the first human civilizations. Another in the fertile land of Mesopotamia, okay, Fertile Crescent, the territory of the modern Iraq and Iran. Okay, it was called Mesopotamia, in between two rivers, Euphrates and Tigris. That's the motherland of modern Arab countries, and Iran as well. Our forefather Abraham probably comes from that land, more or less, from the land of his city that was called Ur. Maybe the modern term urban derives from that word Ur. Okay, in between there is a trade route that lays through Damascus, through Hatzor, through Megiddo, and Gaza, and goes to Egypt in the south, and goes through the coastal cities. That's why the way of the sea, because it goes on the coast for some period, for some section of this road. And you know, these ancient empires, they always fought for this land, for the dominion over this land. When they didn't fight, they traded, and the land of Israel is right in the middle, which was very beneficial for them. That's why, from the historical point of view, this was a core of the human civilization. So many good things, including the Word of God. The Bible, the scriptures came from this land because it was right in the middle of the ancient world of that time. That's where God decided to give us His Word from this area. And people, of course, were enriched by these civilizations. Let's go back to the Bible. We read in the first book of Kings that one of the wisest kings of the antiquity, whose name was Solomon, he decided, we read in the first book of Kings chapter 9, he decided to fortify and to build 3 cities and the temple in Jerusalem. And these 3 cities are all on the Via Maris. One of them is called Hatzor, another called Megiddo, yet another called Gezer. And Pharaoh burned Gezer and gave it to Solomon, burned it and released it from the foreign occupation, and granted it to Solomon because he was married to his daughter. It was a political union, and that's when Solomon fortifies these cities. And of course he builds the temple. He is considered to be one of the greatest builders of the antiquity, and he does this. And it also had a significance, strategic significance. You know that the Jewish people are very famous because of their trade skills, right or not? Yes. Everybody knows that they're very famous because of their trade skills. I remember myself, I started to trade when I was 12 years old. Okay, so, and here also, Solomon never searched for riches. When he became a king, the only request that he made to God was, God, grant me wisdom that I will be able to rule these people. And God says, because you never asked me for riches, for wealth, for being protected from the enemies, because it was so important, I grant you wisdom. But to this wisdom will be added everything that you didn't ask, because it comes. It follows your wisdom, right or not? If you're wise, that's the main deposit. You can lose all your fortune, but because you have brains, you will get it back. And God gave him wisdom, and by the means of this wisdom, he became rich, right or not? Because he was wise, he became rich. Not because it fell from heaven, because he used his wisdom. And how? That's a very good question. One of the possibilities, I am not saying, right now I am hypothesizing, okay? I'm not saying that it is the deal, okay? So don't take it like, oh, Mark said this, how he became rich. I am saying maybe Solomon became rich because he fortified cities on this ancient trade route. And when the caravans were passing by, he would what? He would tax them, or he would accommodate them, one or the other. Oh, dear friends, come on in. I have so good accommodations here, hotels, water, fresh water at your disposal. No, thank you. We don't need. Thank you. It's too expensive, the hotel here. Sorry, then you need to pay tax because it's a toll route. But if you stay, you don't need to pay. And they come and stay, and then they say, and then people come to them and say, do you want to get rid of your goods? Why do you need to go so far to this Egypt? You know, you just sell it to us. We're gonna take care of transportation. Well, how much? You know, half a price. No, it's too cheap. Oh, then you go. Oh, don't forget, you need to pay the toll route because there is another city on the way. Make sense? I don't know. But during the excavations, the artifacts that prove that a Solomonic architectural style, we know that there are probably hewn stones. We know that from the Bible that when Solomon built these, they were hewn, worked stones, and it looked nice. And also typical Solomonic gates were discovered also, and the typical Solomonic capitals were discovered. We don't see everything on the side because most of the very expensive artifacts are kept in Israel's museum. Okay, so this is shortly about Megiddo and all this Via Maris route. Okay, and this is the land of Galilee. Let's go further.